Chapter 1 Sociological Theory Explaining Families in a Stratified Society. Chapter 1 explains the changing definitions of family. The book focuses on stratification within and outside of the family. By stratification, we mean the inequalities among members of the family and between families. There are various ways to study family and relationships, and the chapter will introduce the various ways sociologists study family. Defining families. The first part of the book focuses on the different ways families have been defined, whether culturally or historically. So the U.S. Census Bureau defines family as two or more persons related by birth, marriage, or adoption who live together as one household. The book will argue that our idea of the family refers to much more than what the Census Bureau tells us. Based on the concepts that the book introduces, the authors argue that families are social constructions. This means that the meaning of family changes in response to social and personal conditions. Also, families are nationally, historically, and cross-culturally varied. That means what it means to be a family changes depending on culture and history. The family and current controversy. So the book will go on to talk about why the family is very important and why it's at the center of public debates in the United States. Number one, families and crime in the streets. Families have been blamed for crime in the streets associated with gangs and drugs. The political argument is that the family is breaking down and traditional values are disappearing, and therefore crime is on the rise. The authors will argue that this argument, the political argument, is very simplistic. At a more complex level, there is a vicious cycle between lack of inner city jobs and poverty, which weakens families' ability to support and control children, thus leading to more crime. So in this sense, the authors are arguing that poverty is actually related to how a family will behave. There are also crimes within the family, such as domestic violence, family brutality, etc. Third, politicizing the family. Politicians use family issues as platforms on which they run for election. So this means that there is an intersection between government and family. Stratification, inequality inside and outside families. Stratification is defined as the pattern of inequality. This can involve economic class, which refers to someone's wealth, income, or level of education, power, which relates to control, and status, which concerns who is held in most respect. There are different aspects to stratification. This can involve external stratification, that means families between families, and internal stratification. For example, the power relations between children and parents, or husband and wife. Explaining sex and gender. You will notice that your book has tables that are called a closer look. On a closer look, chapter 1.2, the book will argue that gender is a cultural construction, meaning what it means to be female and male is actually culturally constructed. For example, there is nothing inherently masculine about the color blue, yet we almost always associate color blue with being male. Or, for example, there is nothing inherent about women, and I say this in quotes, being better at housework. So this means that gender roles, what we refer to as men and women's roles in society, are actually constructed by our culture. Next, the book will list a number of theories and themes. So I'm just going to give you a short blurb on what these theories are about. Exchange theory says that individuals will look for relationships in which they will gain the greatest reward for the least cost. This means that in relationships, people are rational. They are looking for the most reward. Second, situational negotiation and reality construction theories emphasize that social relationships are constructed based on individuals' definitions of reality. So, this means that what is rational is actually dependent on what a person thinks is rational or not. C. Interaction ritual theories suggest that people's emotions and ideas are influenced by the kinds of interactions in which they are involved in everyday life. Social structure and stratification theories say that social class affects people in families by creating different life chances for them depending on their class level. For example, your book will have a chapter comparing and contrasting upper class with lower class families. Theories of gender relations focus on the relative amounts of power and economic resources that exist between partners. Finally, your book will talk about the uses of family sociology. Family sociology is used to analyze social and political issues such as employment discrimination and public child care facilities. Understanding our own personal life experience is easier when we draw on family sociology. And last, families are becoming more and more relevant to professional practitioners such as psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, counselors, and social workers.